All right, we are live. Hello, everyone. Hello, Mentably National Area. We're so excited to share with you. My name is Srila Fitzpatrick, for anyone who doesn't know. And that's Brooke, yes. And we are working together today. We're tag teaming because we want to talk to you guys about working vendor events as a way to build your business. And Brooke and I have both been doing that for, I don't know, however long the pandemic has been going on, essentially. And so we've learned some things along the way, and we're excited to share with you guys so that it could potentially help you, right? So, Brooke, thanks for joining me today and doing this.
Yeah, of course.
I'm excited to talk with you and get to hang out with you for a little bit on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
All right, so let's dive right in. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So why even do vendor groups? What would you say to that, Brooke? Why should they even do them?
So that has been my primary source. There we go. I was like primarily, no, not the right word.
Primary.
It's primary. There we go. Primary. I was just putting the emphasis on the wrong place. But it's been the primary source of my leads, honestly. Just because we're not able to go out and about. I used to do a lot of referrals, which I still do, but it's just not as much, or, I don't know. It's just a different vibe when you're not like, seeing them, face to face. And I think people are good at different things, right? So just because I'm good at vendor events doesn't mean like, and we're going to teach you, right, how to be like us and to be successful. But, some people do really well on Facebook and they get a ton of leads. And that just hasn't been my experience just with getting referrals, right? So my main source of referrals has been vendor events. And, if you guys have been in the business for any amount of time, if you're out of leads, you're really kind of out of business.
That's a tough place to be.
Yeah. And you also, I don't know about you guys, but literally I remember telling Megan my first goal in Mary Kay was to get outside my family and friends. There's nothing wrong with my family and friends, but I didn't want to be the person that was like literally throwing up Mary Kay at them. And every time I like called them, they're like, oh, like Brooke, there she goes again. Right. So I wanted to get outside my family and friends. So I didn't have the pressure of having to like feel like, and that's all my limiting beliefs and all that stuff. But I wanted to get outside of my family and friends so that I had less pressure, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
And so this year, really, that's been my primary source of leads. And I would say I probably get anywhere between 20 to 40 leads at each vendor event.
Yeah. Now, I think the other really cool thing about doing vendor events is just expanding beyond, like you said, new leads, but expanding to other parts of the country. Like I have never in my life, and my unit is evidence of this, met so many people outside of my little bubble circle here in Massachusetts, central Massachusetts. So it's been amazing to expand in that way as well, because I think it diversifies your team, right? It diversifies your customer base. And, there's a lot of things where, in one area, maybe, a lot of skincare is sold. In another area, people wear more makeup, right? So it allows us to like have a more diversified way to sell the product and to build our teams and all the things we want to do. So
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I think it's important to, convert if you're going to pay for vendor events and you're going to be in them and you're going to use your time and effort. And we'll get into this a little bit more, but like you have to convert them into, eventually being your customer, right?
Right. That's the idea.
Yeah, that is the idea. But sometimes it takes a little bit more or like a little tweaking and like figuring it out. And I think that's what I've kind of, my journey has been over the, I think I started doing them in, I want to say October or November.
Same for me.
Yeah. So I don't even know how many months that's been, but a lot, right? Like 10 or 11.
Almost a full year.
Yeah. So, so, you tweak and all that. So
yeah. All right, cool. So let's talk about, Brooke, how to get started. I know you've done training on this before, so I'm going to let you start on this. Like, okay, I'm going to do a vendor event. Now what? Like, what do I do? How do I start?
Yeah. And so, here's the thing, you guys, for me, actually Srila and Danielle talked about vendor events and I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. Like, what do I have to lose? And so what you need to do really is, you go to Facebook and, if you go to the groups tab up in the top, there's like a search bar and you literally can put in vendor events near me, vendor events in Central Mass, vendor events in Western, wherever you want to do, or just like vendor events. And then there's groups that you can be added into, and people that are doing it they'll post like, hey, I'm doing a vendor event from this time to this time, PM me, or put your company underneath or whatever. And so that's the easiest thing. And then once you start working with those vendors, a lot of them have come back to me and say like, hey, I'm doing another event. Are you interested in this on these dates? Mm-hmm. And I think that's an important thing to say, because you want to stand out. You want to be the best Mary Kay vendor they have ever met, besides me, right? Just kidding. But you want to be the best Mary Kay vendor that they've ever met. Mm-hmm. And so we'll talk about that in a little bit, but you want to, put yourself in a position where if they think Mary Kay, immediately they're thinking of Brooke Noble. Mary Kay, Brooke Noble, Mary Kay, Brooke Noble, right? And so that's getting in there. And so my people that do it, I am very kind and generous and loving to them as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And a quick little shout out to all the people who are watching live. Hey, ladies, we're so excited you're here with us. So hello. So I love that. And I just want to clarify, because I know some of my consultants were initially confused by this, that when you search for those vendor groups are not the actual event. Those vendor groups are groups of vendors and people looking for vendors to then work an event, right? Yes. So just be aware of that. Like, you're not signing up for the event by adding yourself to that group. You are adding yourself to the slew of vendors, and you're looking for dates that work, prices that work, and things that you like, that you're interested in trying, and messaging those people to say, hey, I want to do your event, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, that is a very good distinction. Absolutely. Because it can be overwhelming. And I think, we've done it and we've gone before you. So please, take our experiences and make them your own too. But yeah, so absolutely, that's such a good distinction. And it's so good to say that, because just because you're added to and a lot of times it's like online vendor events, like that's the name of the group. And then they post in there and they say what they're looking for and who they're looking for and all of that. And there are some restrictions on some things, and there's, ones that are more costly, some that are less, some that, you can post 5 times a day, some that's unlimited, there's just so many different things. So I don't know if you want to get into that right now.
I think we might as well. Yeah.
So I'm on this path. I'm just going to.
Let's do it. Let's talk about
it. But the thing is for me, personally, I like when you can do at least 6 posts a day. Because what I found over the time is that everyone's posting stock photos with, caption stuff. And so you want to be different. You want to stand out. You want to be different. Again, you want them to remember your name, right? That's like literally the biggest thing you want to do. So for me, I'm doing 2 or 3 engagement or funny posts, right? Like about makeup or about skincare, funny memes, funny posts. Like I'm trying to be natural and funny and all of that. And then I'll do like 2, maybe 3 things about Mary Kay. And because the whole point is for me to get leads, it's not for me to get sales. And I think that's what also puts us apart from everyone else, is because everyone's looking for sales, and we're looking actually to make a relationship and then send them product, them try it with us, host a party, host a Facebook thing, do a one-on-one, whatever whatever you're doing, and making a relationship. So it's a relationship thing. So I like 6 posts a day. I think that's great. And then a lot of times they say you can go live once. I always go live, you guys. That is a key to this, and we can talk about that later. But going live is going to be your best thing to get you in front of people and get them to remember you. And it doesn't have to be long, right? It can be 5 minutes or less, right? Or you can make a video and then post the video. But video is king, you guys, king and queen, right? Because of that. And then, sorry, I'm getting off track. I just have so much to say, you guys. I have so much to say. So basically,
all good. Keep coming.
Yeah, but what I want to say is, when you're looking for vendor events, okay, I never pay more than $15. I always ask what the $15 is going towards, because I'm not here just to like line some rando's pocket, right? Like that sounds so harsh, but I want to know where the money's going to. Is it going to gift cards for the people and the guests in the event? That's my by far favorite thing, because then I know if they win a gift card with me, at least like I can make my money back. Does that make sense? Or I'm not like losing a ton of money. And I never lose money just because I'm so kind of like a machine about like making sure I get leads and stuff. But yeah, so I don't pay more than $15. I always ask it what it's for. I always ask what the requirements are or what the guidelines are right up front before I pay them. I make sure the date works for me. First of all, that's like number one, right? I ask them like, how much it is, what it goes towards, how many times I can post, what the guidelines are, all that sort of stuff. And I make sure that, and you guys, if you don't know, ask your director, or, they know, they know all this sort of stuff too. But yeah, so I think the guidelines is really a big thing. And then that says whether I'm going to join or not.
Yeah.
Some are very strict. You're not allowed to message everyone, and Sarila's going to talk about a little workaround for that as well. But I personally, probably if they told me that up front, I'd be like, like how much am I paying, and is it worth it, right? And like again, Sarila has a really awesome thing that she can talk about. But you have to say, okay, like what am I willing to pay? How many people are in the group? How many people have to be invited? Do people have to invite people? That kind of stuff. Because I find that if people don't have to invite people, the group is usually very small, and the only people interacting are the other vendors, which isn't a bad thing because you can get customers with other vendors. But it's not worth like $15.
It limits. Yeah. I would agree with that. Totally. I ask all those questions too. And I also ask, how many vendors, because that gives me an idea of how big the group is going to be as well. The other thing I ask is this a group that you continue to use over and over again, or is this a brand new group? And again, I'm trying to gauge how many people are going to be in there and how many of them are going to be new, because a group might have 1,000 people in it because the whoever runs that vendor group constantly uses the same group, and that's fine. But the reality is that the people from 6 months ago in that group are not seeing these posts, right? Yeah. Because it's all the new people that come into a group that get the notifications. And so I want to know, who are the fresh new faces that are coming into this group? How many vendors are there? How many do they have to invite, so that I get a feel for how many leads I will get out of this group? Because every single person that is added to the group is my lead. That's how I look at it.
Yep. So, absolutely. And amen to that, because I was like, yeah, we're 2,000 people in this group. Woo, woo. And I'm like,
they're like, okay, they don't know what's going on.
Like, legit, not one, like, not even views. I'm like, hello.
These are the things we learned.
Creative, right? So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. But you do have to get creative when you're like, oh, I probably should have asked those questions. And again, you guys, like, take our experience. We've been doing it for so long. So take these questions and know that we're refining the process for you. Like, amazing. We're like, literally, we're out there like weed whacking, bushwhack. What is this called? Swapping.
Both of the things.
Like we're going through the jungle and opening it up for you guys, so that your guys will have a little better of a
for sure
experience.
So let's talk about that then. Let's talk about what works. Like now, okay, I'm in a vendor group. It's getting started. I know all the requirements. I know all the rules. I've invited my people. Now what?
Yeah, so you need to schedule your posts and figure out what you want to do in terms of, what are you going to do? So for me, I plan out, and once you plan it out, I think you can just kind of move things around depending on how many posts and all that sort of stuff. But I always have 10 to 11 posts depending. And the first day is skincare. Well, the first day, usually you can do your intros, right? So I do fun pictures of me and my family. I do a fun intro that's like very conversationalist. I ask them questions. So like, what's something that I said that you relate to, or that is the same as you, right? Because I want to get them engaged. You guys, it's all about engagement. So asking questions, call to action, right? So that they're like responding to you.
Can I jump in on that real quick?
Yeah.
So I saw another vendor. This is a great thing too. You learn little tips and tricks from other vendors. I saw another vendor do this. I'm like, that's a great idea. I'm going to do this. So my intro post is an icon, or not an icon. What is it called? Emoji. And then like a statement about myself. And I've mixed up professional Mary Kay statements with personal statements, right? So I put a volleyball emoji, and then I say, I play and coach volleyball since I was 12 years old. And then what I do is I ask them to respond in the comments with the emojis that match mine. So like if they have something in common with me, they have to put all the emojis that are in common with me in the comments. And people do it, which is crazy, because I'm like, this is so annoying to find all these emojis. But now you have the little search for the emoji feature, which makes it's brilliant. It makes it so much easier. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. You could also do an intro video, right? And anyway, so that my first day is like, usually you can do an introduction before you even start, but my first full day of posts is all skincare. So I have skincare memes, I have skincare, engagement posts. I have, just about our skincare. And then I usually go live, and I literally, you guys, you don't even need skincare. I literally just take a catalog and literally go through and be like, this is our, oh, look at that, you guys. See how many times I've used it, right? Like, this is our blah, 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 right? So you don't even need the products. You just need a magazine, which, you guys all should have, right? Or you can all get very easily. And so I go live and do skincare. And then my second day is supplements. And then my third day is, I like literally am like blanking right now, but my third day is like, more supplements. Then my fourth day is makeup, and my fifth day is makeup. So that it depends on how long it is. I will cut and, change all that. But the biggest thing is having engagement and making people, like, I love making people laugh. That's my thing. That's my jam. I love it. And I love it. I literally will scroll Instagram at night and just look at the funny memes. And like, that makes my day. So I know there's people out there, and obviously people wouldn't be, making memes if it wasn't thick. So I'm all about like the funny, the engagement, what 3 things, if you had to have them, like what 3 things, and all these posts are in the M&A content page. So you guys can see all that. And you guys can search yourself too. But the biggest thing is making sure that you're building relationships. And then also the other thing I do is I voice message through Messenger, Facebook Messenger, every other vendor in the event. And I voice message them, and then I put a little text underneath, and I say, I just voice message you because I think that's like a little bit more personal. But if you can't listen, or you like whatever, I'll type it out. Right. So I'm giving them 2 things. I do it to every single vendor before the event starts. And I say, hi, my name is Brooke. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited to work with you. I would love to know more about your product. I would love for you. I would love to interact with your posts. If you're going live, let me know, and I'll be sure to get on and just help you boost your algorithms. And I'm like literally giving them my service, right? Like my time, my effort, all that. And you guys, I learned that from another vendor too. And you guys, I am telling you, it really helps, because then they're commenting on every single one of my posts. They're watching my lives. They're and they become, that boosts the algorithm, because the algorithm is really important in terms of, only 6% of your posts actually get seen by people in the group. And of that, probably 1% actually interact, right? So you really want to boost that as high as possible. And how you do that is by people interacting with your posts. The more people interact with your posts, and the more you message with them.
I don't know. We got it, I think.
That will make them see your posts more too.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah. So just, those are
smart. That's really smart. I don't do that, and I love that idea. So I'll definitely be doing that. I do something for the vendors though. I love to give free stuff away and do raffles, right? So I message all the vendors and I say, hey, you're doing a great job in the group. Thanks for being here and part of the group. And, I think that we work really hard. And so I did a raffle with all the vendors. We work really hard, and we deserve some free stuff too. And so you won my raffle. And then they're like, what did I win? Woo! You know, all those different responses. And then everybody wins the same thing, which is a virtual beauty experience that includes a beauty pack. And so I then book them and schedule them for their session. And unless there's a conflict of interest, like they're also in skincare and makeup, you know, then typically they will book with me.
Awesome. Yeah. And I'll just add to that. So you'd be surprised, right? So I have some of my like best customers now do have stuff and like they're unique or they're, you know, whatever, because we have so many different things. So we have body care, we have fragrance, we have skincare, we have makeup. And I haven't found any other company, maybe Arbonne, but I haven't really found any other company that has all of those things. So I always say to them like, hey, I know you do, let's just say Arbonne. I know you do Arbonne and you're probably loving that stuff, but I just want to appreciate you and send you a little goodie bag just to say thank you for, you know, interacting with me or whatever, blah, 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 blah. So, you know, is there anything that that you don't use with your company that maybe I can send you? Right. And you'd be surprised. Right. And then some of them are like, yeah, we're, you know, I don't, you know, this was my first time or whatever. And, you know, it's just like, it's building those relationships because you just never know who you can meet through them, or if they decide that they, you know, either want to do Mary Kay or they want to, you know, get makeup from me or whatever. So I do everyone. And if I see they do a different skincare and makeup company, I do say like, hey, I see you do this, but I would love to still send you something.
Right. I mean, it goes back to the go give philosophy that we have in Mary Kay, like treat others the way you want to be treated. Right. So if we are being kind to the vendors and being respectful and whatever, you know, they're going to treat us the same way and have that same level of respect. So I think you're just epitomizing exactly that golden rule, you know, that we learned, Brooke, because you are.
And just one more thing I wanted to mention, because I kind of alluded to this before, but the people that run the vendor event, I make sure and I like love on them. I know how much time this is. I know how much effort this takes. Thank you so much for asking all, you know, answering all the questions. Thank you for being there. Thank you for blah, 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 blah. And I send them a charcoal mask.
Nice. Yeah.
And I wrap it really nicely. And I ask them first, like, would you use a charcoal mask? Because I'm not going to just like randomly send out stuff that no one's ever going to use. Right. But I ask them first, like, would you be interested in, and everyone says yes. And that's why I get people asking me like, hey, I'm doing this vendor event. I would love for you to do it. Instead of me having to chase them, they're chasing me and like, don't I love that? Yes, I do. Every time. So, because really, like, what does that cost me? Right. So $24 divided by 2,
12
shipping. Yeah. $12 plus shipping. But,
yeah.
Yeah. And that's so worth it to me, you know, or you could do like, you could do the mini satin hand set, right? Like it doesn't have to be a charcoal mask. That's just like my biggest, like, thrill, you know, maybe now it's the pink mask, right? Because that's only 18, right? So, yes. So Karen asked if I share the sharing opportunity. I do, but I also talk about my eye story, like in a live as well. But yeah, so I do. And then it just depends on, how long the event is and how many posts I get. And I just kind of try and weave everything in.
Right. That's awesome. Okay. Anything else you want to add about what you feel like works in particular?
One more big thing, you guys, which I can't believe I didn't say this first, but anyone who likes, posts, comments, whatever, I literally underneath their comment, I say, hey, thank you so much for like engaging, or thank you so much for posting, or whatever. Check your PMs because I want to give you a thank you gift. So first of all, because we're not friends usually, they don't necessarily see my message. It goes into the others folder, which you have to kind of look for. I don't know if you guys find that too, but so that's why I put it right underneath their comment. So I know they're going to see it because they're going to get a notification. So I know they're going to see it. So they're going to go find my message. And that message is going to say, thank you so much. Like, listen, sometimes these things can be brutal, and that ain't that the truth, right? So I say, sometimes these things can be brutal. I so appreciate you, you know, commenting and boosting the algorithm and helping me out. And so just for that, I would love to send you a little thank you gift in the mail. And they're like, oh my gosh, thank you so much.
Yeah. Because nobody does that. Nobody does that. Like nobody takes the extra time. So whenever they win something with you or they get a thank you gift from you or whatever, it makes an impression for sure. So that's
And
awesome.
I do it even if they like, love, laugh, whatever.
Yeah,
even the reactions, I send them a message. And like if they haven't commented too, I'll just say like, hey, Kalina, whatever. Kalina Pittman, thank you so much for laughing. Like I love laughing too. Check your PMs for like a thank you gift.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So, again, I'll reiterate the issue or the reason we're doing this is not to sell product. Okay, you guys, like you're not going to, here's the reality. You're not going to sell product. Okay. If you sell product, that's pretty amazing. Like that's a bonus. I don't think I've done vendor groups for how long now? And I think I've gotten 2 orders in the entire time. Okay. It's not about selling the product. It's about building the relationships. Like Brooke said, booking people. And what I found is that I typically book them individually. Maybe they invite a friend or 2, but it's not like a huge party. What happens is once I hold that appointment and they get the full experience, they're in love, they want free product, then I book them for a party. So that is not always the case, but it's the majority of the case that I find, Brooke. I don't know if you find that too, but I'm doing a lot of facials or maybe double facials initially with those people in the vendor group. We build the relationship over video. They like me, they like the product. Now I'm either booking them for their own party or I'm recruiting them. Like that's essentially what happens every single time.
Yeah. And I just want to say too, I think my biggest one was I sold 1 miracle set once and I was like, oh this is just a gravy on top. Like this is amazing. Right. Yeah. But that was like literally once. And I probably have been in, I want to say like 200. Like 250 maybe, so selling is absolutely not my focus. It's all about getting leads. And exactly like Srila said, they're not going to book, they don't know you, they're not going to be like, yeah, let me get all my friends. No, they want to know you first. And the only other thing I will add to that is every single one of them get into my VIP group. As soon as they say yes to getting a package, I say, great. I'm also going to add you into my group. It's fun. It's like more of this, same energy. I'm going to add you to my group. Friend them, add them to my group, or I'll send them my link to my group, to my VIP group. If you guys have a director that has a VIP group, send them to there. Because that, I'm telling you, that is just building the relationship so much more, and they're getting exposed to so much more stuff as well.
Right. So let's move on, Brooke, to like, okay, we're toward the end of the vendor group now. Like we've engaged and interacted with the few people that are engaging and interacting with us. Typically not the majority. Like you said, it's like 1%, right? So with everybody else in the group, I'll just share real quick what I do because I find the same thing. I don't get a ton of interaction. I get a few people and it's usually the same people who are interacting throughout the group, right? So that's great. I'm only going to send them 1 thank you gift, okay? I'm not going to send them a gift every single day. So once we get to that point where I feel like I've posted a bunch, people kind of know me a little, they've seen me go live or they've seen my videos or whatever, I go through and I actually write down every single person that's been added by one of the vendors and who added them. So I have a list. And I have to do it on paper because I can't, for me, I can't keep track of those messages on Messenger. Like it drives me crazy and it's like scrolling for days. So I have to write it down and it helps me to track when I'm reaching out to them. So I write all of them down, who invited or like which vendor they're with. And then I send every single one of them a message on Messenger. And I say, hey, so-and-so, hey, Brooke, thank you so much for being a part of our vendor group and supporting Gigi in this group. We really appreciate that. I wanted to let you know I did a raffle for everybody who's in the group and you won. You were one of my winners. And so I am reaching out literally to every single person and telling them that. And yes, we're not friends on Facebook. So probably in a set of say 40 people that I might reach out to, I'll probably get 10 responses. Probably be 10 people who will actually respond to me. And I don't tell them what they want in the first message. I say, can I share the details? That requires them to respond to me and say yes, right? And they never say no. They say sure or yes or what did I win? Then I do the voice message thing that Brooke mentioned earlier. And I say essentially this. I say, oh, awesome. Thanks for getting back to me. Brooke, you won my virtual beauty session, which includes a beauty pack that is customized and full of skincare treatments that are sure to make your skin feel amazing, like so soft and so pampered. So we just coordinate a time to jump online together and go through everything. So that way you get the full experience. What's better for you, weeknights or weekends? And then they respond back with the answer typically. And then I book them from there. So that's how I handle booking all the people in the group and working through that. And of course, we know that we have to follow up, and we know that 5 or 6 times or whatever. So I continue to do that with people who aren't getting back to me. And eventually I probably get about half of them to respond to me, whether I book them or not. Like I get about half the group to actually get back to me. So over the course of maybe a week of working through that stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Do you do anything like that, Brooke?
Yes, in the smaller ones I do. The ones that are like 2,000 people, I'm like,
Right.
Yeah, that ain't happening. But yes, for the smaller things. And then before we forget, will you talk about your workaround if someone says like you're not allowed to cold message, you're not allowed to message them, that kind of stuff? Because I think that was brilliant.
Yeah. So I got into a group one time, and I was real excited, and it was, I asked all the questions that I wanted to ask, right? So I'm in the group. It's starting the following day, and the person who's in charge is sending out all the rules to everybody, all the vendors. And one of them was like this thing we had to sign, like we had to initial it. And it was serious. And it was like, you are not allowed to message people. Somebody commenting on your post is not an invitation to private message them. And I was like, what? I'm like, why did I join this group? I had no idea. I didn't even think that was a thing, right? Because isn't that the point of doing vendor groups? So I was like, okay, what do I do here? So then I just decided that I was going to, and I didn't come up with this completely on my own. I was talking to Danielle and Diane about it, and kind of came up with this idea where I decided that every day of the vendor group, I was going to do a raffle and have 10, or depending on how many people there were, 10 winners. And so I would just post as one of my posts, hey, so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. And I would just tag 10 people or 15 people or however many people. You guys were my winners for the day. Look for a private message from me so you know what you won. And the woman in charge of that vendor group never messaged me and said, you can't do that. It was like, they won my raffle. I have to tell them what they won, right? So that's how I worked around that, and it was not a problem. So if that helps anybody at any point.
Yeah, I think that's huge as well.
Mm-hmm.
There's something else I was going to say, but now I'm blanking on that. But yeah, I mean, it is about that relationship. Okay, keep going, because maybe it'll come back to me.
Sure, absolutely. So what have we tweaked since starting? Like, what did you do initially that you were like, that was a terrible idea, that did not work? Do not do this, people. Do not do this. Anything comes to mind?
I think, not going live and just having like stock photos. Because think about it, you guys, if you're added to a group, like, what do you want to see? You want to be entertained. Like that's why people go into those groups, right? So just having which Mary Kay has beautiful stock photos, and I'm not saying never do it. I'm just saying don't do, those are your 6 posts or 6 stock photos, right? So change it up, switch it around. I also didn't messenger people all the time. I learned how to messenger the vendors, which was something that I learned to do. I'm trying to think about what else that I would say don't do. Don't pay more than $15 or $20. I wouldn't do that either.
I'll add. Yeah, I don't know how you feel about this, Brooke, but I know there's vendor events that are 2 days, and then there's vendor events that are month long, right? And I don't like either of those. I like the ones that are about a week, anywhere from 5 to 7-ish days. I don't like the ones that are a month long, because I think people get bored. I can't imagine a group holding my attention unless it's for work, right? Our Mary Kay groups. I don't actually think that would hold my attention for a whole month.
Yeah, I did one of those and never again. That's a good point. Yeah. And I my sweet spot's between 3 to 5 days.
3 to 5. Okay. Yeah.
Just because
span is small for people.
Yeah. But I'm let's do this, in, out, over, and 3 days is and it's the starting day and then 3 extra days. Right. But yeah. And then the other thing you can do, if you don't have a posting service, there's Visly, there's Post My Party, there's things you can buy, so you don't have to continuously always be there. You can always, usually they'll add you as an admin, so you can always schedule your post, and it's so funny. Like if I don't do Visly or I'm doing something else, I'm the only person that ever schedules a post. It's so funny because you can see all the scheduled posts, and I'm like, yeah, Brooke Noble, Brooke Noble, Brooke Noble. But most people will use like Post My Party, you know, Cinch Share, Visly, all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point, because I think if I didn't use Visly, I probably wouldn't do these because it would be much more tedious, you know? So I really recommend it. And with Visly, that's the one I'm familiar with. It's like $10 a month if you want to be able to post into unlimited groups, which for me, I mean, I think as a consultant, you have to decide if that's worth it to you. But for me, it is, because I'm posting in multiple vendor groups. I'm posting into, you know, my VIP group sometimes. I'm posting into consultant groups sometimes. So it's really nice to be able to do multiple groups. Whereas if you just take the free version of that, you can only post in one group per month. Yeah. So that's something to think about and to consider. It just, once you create that template, it just runs for you. And then your job is just to react, comment, and send private messages, which takes a lot of the energy and work out of it, I think.
Yep.
So absolutely. I would really recommend that. Yeah. Yeah. All right, cool. Well, I don't know. I think that's everything, right? If you guys have questions on what we talked about, you can post on this video and we'll get back to you on those. But hopefully, Visly is spelled Vizzlie. Thanks for that question, Peggy. So post questions on here in the comments here, and we can get back to you on those. But hopefully this was helpful and you learned something, and you can give it a try. Just give it a try and see what happens. You know, maybe you'll meet some amazing rockstar clients and new team
members. Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, it's really fun and exciting when you get it to work for you. So thank you, Brooke.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.